I have just had one of the hottest curries of my life. It was awesome! Hey kiddos, Jess here, welcome back to the court. Today, Sunday. Bit of a late one again today because been quite busy with various things. Anybody who watches my channel frequently will have noticed that on Friday there was no Halo 4 video. I had originally promised there was going to be a Spartan Ops video because I'd completed the campaign in Halo 4. Well, that didn't quite come to fruition, not just because I decided not to do it, although that is actually that has become part of the equation. It's actually because I had, in the last 3 days of this week, about, well, 4 days really, if you think about it, the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday sort of area, I started work on a new project that could very easily affect us here on the JCG, and possibly even over on the JCB. Yeah, new names, acronyms for the win. And even though these plans are very, very much still up in the air, there's the possibility they could very drastically affect the way my schedule currently is on both sites. Now just to explain some background here, because this is actually going to be the topic for today. Recently me and my friends over here, my local friends that I've known from college and school, etc. We've been toying with the idea of starting to play some tabletop games. And not for any other reason than just the fact that we're interested in the idea and we just want to do it for fun in our own spare time. At least that's how it started out. Now when I say tabletop, I don't mean something as generic as Monopoly and Cluedo, but I also don't mean anything as severe as, something as involved as like Dungeons and Dragons, etc. We're talking like the happy medium kind of area. The specific examples of such, just to make things easier for us to understand. The games we've been toying with are games such as Gloom, Forbidden Island, Relic, and Last Night on Earth. Now yes, you could say this is just the new generation of basic tabletops such as Monopoly and Cluedo. However, I like to think of them as something a little bit more because, especially with Relic, Gloom, and to an extent Last Night on Earth, there's a very big emphasis on storytelling as you play. Now granted, it's not a necessity, you don't have to do this kind of thing in any of those games, but it makes the experience so much better if you do. And we all know I am a big fan of stories. So yeah, so me and my friends were playing these games in our spare time when we had the chance. And from this I started to gain this idea of I can base a story on some of what's happening here. Bit of a fan fiction based around a board game. And this kind of, ran away from me a bit. It started to involve my friends heavily as well. They're not quite as into the writing world, but they seem to be getting interested now the more I'm doing it. But of course I do very much put a lot of the fault into the games as well, because they do inspire a sense of storytelling. And what's come of this is the idea for us to do a bit of a quote-unquote series of videos and stories based around the times we play these games and create our own little humorous or interesting or extravagant or dramatic stories that we come up with while we're playing the games, and just basically making something out of that we can share with everyone, or everyone who watches anyway. So anybody who follows my Twitter will have noticed that was my excuse or reason, whichever one you prefer, for why there wasn't a Halo 4 video on Friday. I just simply didn't have time to sit down and play Spartan Ops, but as I hinted, also it's because I started to think maybe a series on Spartan Ops might not be as attractive as, say, a story campaign, because even though there is a bit of a story going on with Spartan Ops, it's not as heavily involved. It's basically just like a multiplayer game with less people and more AI. Anyway, it's meant to be played multiplayer, and I didn't have anybody who could play with me to record as often as I needed to make that a viable series for what it's supposed to be. So yeah, unfortunately possibly no Spartan Ops to come for a while at least. But the moral of the story, not really a moral, just more of a point, but not really a point either. Possible projects in future works for more stories on the blog, the Just Conceptions blog, and also more videos on this channel that are gaming, but not gaming as you are used to seeing on my channel. All very much up in the air, as I've said about a lot of things I've promised in the past, but this one is a lot more promising because there's more people involved and we seem to have a plan actually laid out for it. And this brings us to another point that I want to share with you guys today. I like to keep you guys updated on everything I'm doing, as the core is basically, it's like a vlog but also like an update kind of thing of what's going on in my life, to do with the stuff I do on the internet at least. I've hinted before that I am possibly doing maybe too many series on my channel, which yes, allows a lot of variety for a wider audience, but at the same time I do accept that an internet audience has a limited attention span. Not as an accusation as in you guys have ADHD or anything like that. More along the lines of when you want to watch a YouTube video, you want something quick, sweet and short that's, you know, going to be entertaining, that you can just bang out in for a few minutes while you're getting ready for work, or while you're chilling out after work, or, you know, procrastinating in a lesson in college or school, or on your phone, on the bus. So many different options. Half an hour is often too much, and for a lot of people, possibly waiting a whole week for the next installment is also a bit much. I mean, you're used to doing that on TV, yeah, but on the internet, not so much. Not counting, obviously, web series that are basically TV series, such as Video Game High School, etc. So I've also been toying with the idea of reducing my amount of series, still not figured out what the right way to say that word is, and thus changing the way my schedule works. Now, if there's anybody out there who wants to give me feedback on exactly how I should do that, let me know, but I already have a working idea in mind that may come into implementation within the next few weeks. It's not going to happen immediately. It's probably going to happen in about 3 weeks' time, when I'm closer to finishing more series than I already have finished. But the way I'm thinking of doing it from now on is, where I now have my Prince of Persia series that's released 5 times a week in the weekdays, 10-minute intervals, 10-minute chunks of a longer gameplay that's been recorded in the weekend. I'm now thinking of doing that with all the games I play. But I'm also thinking of limiting how many games I play to just around about the 4 or 5 mark. This comes on the back of me realising that I am putting myself under a lot of pressure to do a lot of gameplay and then a lot of editing, a lot of weeks. And sometimes I fear my quality fails because of that fact, especially because I'm also trying to concentrate so much on my writing that I do over on the blog. So what could possibly happen is, when I get to, say, the end of The Last of Us, I'll then shift my schedule back over to how I used to do things, which is longer gameplays, split into chunks and released through the week. So I'm going from my current, one thing a day of a week schedule to something a bit more akin to the way Toby Turner does it on his Toby Games channel, where you're getting maybe 10 to 15 minute chunks of a particular game per day. Now I'm toying with whether that's going to be only the 5 weekdays or every day of the week, minus Sunday, because I'll leave the court to be the only video to appear on Sundays, just for ease. Because for me, a lot of the time that I use while I'm online is also for the writing, so it could be quite useful for me to keep myself free on a Saturday, so I make sure my writing, which is my big passion, is not suffering, which I've been worried that recently it has been. So there's a lot of reasons playing into this. And so some of you that watch frequently may be wondering why I'm talking about dropping to 4 titles once I've finished The Last of Us. Especially because in the last few weeks I've been promising that new series are going to start, particularly one called, for a game called Zombie Diaries, now that The Walking Dead is finished. Well, the thing is, that's because I'm going to have to say that the Zombie Diaries is probably not going to start anytime soon, like I promised. From this point, there's not going to be a new Thursday series yet. Well, actually ever, having said that, because the whole scheme is changing. Like I say, I'm going to stick to just so many games so that I'm not overloading my audience, and I'm also not overloading my own schedule. But hey, who knows, maybe I'll think that 4 series is quite manageable and I can push it up to maybe 5 or 6. Because it's not so much how many games I play that's the problem, it's how I'm then able to chunk them into episodes, and then how frequently I need to then record again. The method I have in place for the Prince of Persia is perfect. I can play one big chunk in a weekend and that sets me up for the week, which maybe seems a bit of a cop-out because the recording you'll then watch on Friday is nearly a week old, but it gives me better scheduling around other stuff that's going on in life, and quality in general is up because I'm actually playing a game when I've got time to play it and I'm in the right mood to play it, and quality should improve, hopefully. So yes, anybody who is looking forward to the Zombie Diaries series starting up on Thursday, I'm sorry, but it's not going to be happening. And also anybody who is looking forward to the Spartan Ops, also again, not going to be happening. I am really, very, very sorry if you were looking forward to those series. They will happen eventually. It's just that for me to keep doing my channel the way I'm doing it in my other games, which I am really enjoying, I need to slow down just a little bit and start concentrating on my writing as well, because that's a big part of my interest, big part of my life, and hopefully a big part of your guys' life when you are able to notice more of it, because I'm also going to be doing bits and pieces here and there, you know, special bonus videos throughout a week that showcase that stuff as well, hopefully. So yes, even though I'm a couple of bevs in at this point of the night and what I'm talking about may not make entire sense, at least not in a chronological order, the main point you can take away is that things are going to be changing for my channel, but I am going to assure you right now they will be changes for the better. Things will become less uniform, which I always kind of think makes things feel a bit robotic, and quality is going to improve because I'm actually not killing myself by trying to do as much as I was always trying to do. I'm playing a game when I actually have time to play it, and then thus the recording is of a better quality because I'm having more fun. This is all, you know, culminating from a lot of different things that I've talked about in a lot of different courts. It's finally coming to a head, and this is just something, you know, this is just like the ultimatum to let you know this is happening. And my apologies if it upsets anyone, but screw you guys. No, seriously, I'm sorry, I didn't mean that, unless you're a really attractive woman, in which case, hell yeah, screw you, gals. That may have been sexist. So yeah, a lot of changes, but all for the better, I assure you. Now before we close out today, this actually reminds me, talking about the Jester Conceptions blog, obviously, the JCB. Today, Sunday the... what's the date? Today, Sunday the 29th, is actually the last instalment of the current run of the Hunters over on the blog. It's a very, very long instalment, but I had such fun writing it. But what I learned while writing this story is that I need to plan a bit better. I said when I first started this arc that this was an idea I'd had ever since I was a young teenager that had evolved over time with more influence from friends and other media, all this kind of stuff. And it was, you know, the ideas within it had anyway, but I'd never actually written anything down on paper, so that's what this was an exercise in doing. And what kind of happened is that things started to evolve as they went from the ideas I had into a fully fledged story. Obviously this meant that certain events hadn't been pre-planned. I kind of approached it in a free-form manner where I did this one week and then I basically invented what would happen the next week off of the back of that. So I have had criticisms here and there about how things didn't seem to quite flow perfectly and how some things didn't make sense, keeping other things in mind, this, that and the other. So what I learned from this first series, as I'm going to be calling it, is that the second series needs to be better planned. So there's going to be a long pause before the second series comes out, most likely, but it will come out and hopefully it will be better for that fact. So if anybody's been enjoying the Hunter series so far, trust me, you're going to enjoy the second one even more. So yeah, kind of a really strange video this week. I'm really sorry to lay all this information out there, just like boom, but I wanted to warn you guys ahead of time, just so you knew what was coming. I'm going to be putting reminders in more videos as time comes. Don't worry, no series are going to be disappearing entirely. They're all going to be continuing, just in a different format, different order, different schedule, and for the time being no new series are going to come about like I've said they would have done. Sorry. But also don't worry, because eventually they will appear soon. Every game I currently have on Steam, at least the ones I have installed on my computer, is a game I plan to LP at some point or another. So like it says in my channel description, go and find me on Steam, feel free to add me if you want to play or you just want to know what my library is. And you'll be able to see what kind of games I have in my collection that will one day be played. Trust me, don't worry about that, they will be played. But anyway, enough of that. If you have any more questions, don't forget you can always hit me up on Twitter, on the blog, on here. I don't have a Facebook as of yet, but I'm working on making like a proper Facebook page for just the Jester Conceptions group. But yeah, you can hit me up with questions on Twitter, on here in comments, and over on the blog if you really want to. And as ever, kidders, thank you very, very much for watching and listening to me blabble on about God knows what. And I will see you through the week.